I've always wanted to coach as many people as possible. The average dude that watches YouTube fitness just wants to get jacked, strong, look good, get in shape, and follow a program that allows them to get to that without a lot of fuss and muss. And for one reason or another, they feel like they can't get any of those things. And my main method of helping fellas like this is to make the best programs that I possibly can and make them real fun so that they want to run them. Golden Warrior is my ultimate program because it encompasses a lot more than just do these exercises on this day. An ultimate program commands you to grow by being comprehensive, but it also teaches you and keeps you accountable. It should be simple to plug in and play for anyone to follow, but also accessible enough for anyone regardless of what the responsibilities or time constraints are to be able to run it and get great results. An ultimate program should teach you patience. It should teach you how to set goals. It should teach you how to support your training with your habits in and out of the gym. And most importantly, it should meet people where they're at. Golden Warrior is my best program because it does all of these things at a high level, and it's been 6 months in the making. And it's a lot more than a program in that regard. It's a coaching guide. It teaches you a way that you can train for life. It's a program that I was personally running. It gives you the leeway to include all those hardcore exercises that a lot of people like if you want them, more surgical exercises that are more precise if you have other goals, or some combination of the two. And lastly, it will coach you directly in terms of mindset, form, progression, and overall how I want you to run the program. It'll keep you accountable, and you'll never be guessing, how do I do this? How should I do this? How can I do this better? On account of all the coaching notes that we've woven together in the fabric of this program. And I do say we, because it started off as like a 40-page ebook that I wrote, and I sent it over to Michael. I'm like, how are we going to turn this into a program without all of this being lost in translation? It took a while, but me and the fellas in Boostcamp, we got it done. I have good news for you. While this is a premium pro-only program, not only do you get the first 2 weeks free if you click into the description and just check the program out today, and then as a New Year's gift to you, I'm going to include that full ebook in the description as well. It's going to have all the same coaching notes. It's going to have the split. Everything is going to be in there because I really do believe that Golden Warrior is the best thing that I've ever made in terms of just programs and guides. And I know that when you look at the sheer volume of information that we've distilled into this program on Boostcamp, you're going to want to run it on Boostcamp. Check those resources out right now and follow along because I'm going to be overviewing the program as a whole. So what do you get with Golden Warrior? Unfortunately, these really cool Dragon Ball Z toys are not included, but what you do get is a top tier program that I've ran myself, a comprehensive FAQ and troubleshooting guide. So if you have any questions, more than likely someone's asked a question just like that. And also how to troubleshoot if you say do something wrong. How do you recover that to maintain forward momentum in your training and keep getting better? Most importantly, in my opinion, and this is what I'm really proud of, is all of the coaching notes. You won't have a single question of how to do this exercise or that exercise, or what if I do it wrong this way. The comprehensive coaching notes are going to help you not only in terms of your execution, how I want you to do the exercise, it'll also help you in terms of your mindset, how I want you to mentally approach certain things that just I know people to get hung up on typically. In other words, you'll know exactly what to do, what I expect of you, and what I want you to do if you mess up to keep the gravy train rolling. What are the goals of the program? The basic goal of the program is to get you jacked and strong across a variety of movement patterns and exercises. I have what I call key lifts, and all of those key lifts across your chest, biceps, triceps, you name it, they're in it, and we program them in a way to get as strong as possible and proficient at the movements, to feel our muscles working effectively in every muscle group, and every movement is different, and I've told you exactly how to do it. Now the larger goal is to take, say, a lifter that does nothing, turn them into a lifter that knows a little something. Take that newer lifter, make them an intermediate lifter. If you're an intermediate lifter, you'll have the tools to become advanced, and if you're already an advanced lifter, you'll be able to become even more advanced and have the tools to be able to continue to make gains in your training. I mentioned it teaches you a way of training that you can carry for life. I want to impress upon you what my opinions are with regards to training, my style of doing things, the berserk method. I said this before, strength training is bodybuilding training. And if you're in the interest of getting strong, the best way to do that is to get big and vice versa. But we get strong at everything. And we aim to do those things skillfully and to progress that skill over time so that we can get as much of a return investment in our exercise as we possibly can at any given time. I'm still learning, and I'll forever be still learning. But what you'll see is that for most people, they have a style if they have some physical development. For some people, that's using cheat form to horse a bunch of weight. For others, it's more control, but everybody has a style. I personally have tried a whole lot, and I've learned a whole lot, and I have some things that work really effectively movement by movement. And I tell you exactly in terms of style how I want you to perform most things. And for people that don't want to learn, all you have to do is follow the coaching notes. But the coaching notes are there for people who do want to learn, and those people that do gain a higher insight into how their body moves and how to interact with exercises past just doing what the program tells them to do are going to be the people that get the best results, one, and then two, are able to make their own programs and develop their own style in the future. Golden Warrior is also very adaptable. I want you, no matter what your job is, if you're working 16-hour graveyard shifts, or if you work an office job 8 hours a day, or if you have all the time in the world to dedicate to training, I want each and every one of those individuals to have a version of this program and everything in between to make great gains. And if you're someone like myself, even where sometimes duty calls, you have responsibilities in life, and where you were suddenly able to train 5 days a week, maybe now you can only train 3 or 4. There's 3 versions of Golden Warrior that I programmed for you to be able to get great gains in pretty much any situation that you're in. My other pro-only program, Dragon Fist, attempted to do this by just being a lower volume program that used intensity techniques to get an effective training in like 45 minutes. But in Golden Warrior, I accommodated for this by just taking a key piece of wisdom to heart. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And we got A, B, and C, baby. Like I said, if you're someone that has all the time in the world to train, or a good appreciable amount of time to train, you're on that 5-day plan, say you have vacation coming up, or you're not eating the way that you know you should, or your sleep's been garbage for a few days, you can switch to the 4-day plan. Or if you need a deload, you can just go from 5 days to 4 days, or from 4 days to 3 days. That extra day of recovery does wonders. I want to do a program overview just to close things off. I don't need to explain a whole lot, nor do I want to, because like I said, it was a pretty sizable ebook that was distilled into a program. But there are some things that I want to touch on in terms of how I want you to think about the program. Keep in mind, I have a background in strength training and a pretty extensive history in hypertrophy training as well. So I like to have that paint the way that I design things and how I talk about things. First, in terms of which plan you choose to run, just be honest with where you're at and what's realistic. I would train 12 days a week if I could, brother, but if you can only train 4, or if you're a newer lifter that may only need to train 4, do 4. If you can only do 3, do 3. You also have the ability as a newer lifter that maybe this is your first time going to the gym, or it's like your New Year's resolution or something. You can go to the gym, do the most volume with the most frequency, with the highest percentages possible, with the hardest exercises, and it could just be something that just destroys you into oblivion. You need to be honest with where you're at. I always say you can always add more if you need to add more, but start with that minimum effective dose. Now, in terms of the program, there's different exercises that you can pick in every exercise slot. And I just want you to be honest with what your goals actually are with regards to how you choose to design your program. Like I said, it could have those hardcore exercises in there if you want them to, but if your goal is something more surgical, more specific, that doesn't require those things, or you just don't like doing those things, don't let nobody tell you you have to do those things. Almost no exercise is necessary. I'll sit here and tell you that, like, yeah, I like these 10 exercises, or I'll make a video about an exercise that I like, but there's no must do. There's some exercises that are better and worse, but if you like one and it works the muscle and you do it skillfully, you'll get great results. So it all just comes down to what your goals are. If you want it to be a powerlifting type adjacent program, you could absolutely do that. But if you want it to be something else, you could do that too. What I do want to explain a little bit is the 12-8-5 simple progression model that I have on the program for those main key metric lifts. So like your bench press, your squats, your stiff leg deadlifts, your heavier curls and heavier tricep exercises, those follow a set structure that you don't typically see in a lot of programs. And I'm gonna break it down to you like this. It combines a top set and back offset approach, and I'll explain everything if you've never heard of these things before or if you need a refresher. It combines that with a triple progression. Now I use the top set and back offset, which just basically refers to you do a heavy set, strip some weight off, you do some lighter weight after that for 2 to 3 sets to include more volume. We do the top set to give you that strength stimulus. You do those lighter back offsets to induce hypertrophy, to practice good form, to enforce good form, and overall, just to get in a good stimulus with less fatigue, as opposed to if we just did the maximum intensity that we could for every set. And by intensity, I just mean load relative to our 1 rep max. I don't use any 1 rep maxes on this program. However, the lighter back offsets are going to be lighter in intensity and thus less fatiguing. A top set and a back offset approach is going to be extremely effective for most people, unless you're extremely durable, like you have joints and bones made out of adamantium, yeah, or you're a massive 10-foot wide caveman, sure, it'll work. But for most people, it's not tenable to ramrod intensity, and have any appreciable volume in your program. Now I add in the triple progressions, and I'll explain what that is as well. But we do that to be able to grow into the relative weights that we're using and also master them in terms of the form as well. I explain the triple progression in the program and in the guide that I link to at the beginning of the program when you're onboarding. Please check out those resources and please take that guide, save it to your phones. A triple progression is basically this, bro. You're given a set and rep range and you have 3 ways of progressing on it. That's why it's called a triple progression. You can either add reps, you can add quality to those reps that you've done already, or you can add weight. And it's almost always in that order. So if you start off with 12s, you either try to add reps to those sets, you improve the quality of those reps, or if you surpass 3 or 4 reps over 12, so you get between 15 and 16 reps, add 5 to 10 pounds. It's all in the FAQ for you to read for your own curiosity, but that's what it is at a basic level. It's very important that you follow it in that order though. So reps first, then rep quality, or you could even do rep quality first if your first week you look at your form on your first sets and you're like, that's kind of shit, I'm just going to improve that. I'll have a section later talking about effective logbooking and how that comes into play with the triple progression and just how you progress in the program in general, but that's the basic idea of it. Now, I also don't want the program to get stale or just have you doing high reps the entire time. Those that are familiar with linear programs or 5-3-1, things along those lines, are familiar with reps changing as the program ensues. So I start with 12s, after 4 weeks we go to 8s, after 4 more weeks we go to 5s. When you jump from 12 reps to 8 reps, that's going to imply and signify a relative increase in intensity. Like I just mentioned before, it's just going to mean the weight's getting heavier on average. What that means is that you get a little bit of novelty because you're just working in a different capacity, using different weights, different rep range. That alone is fun for a lot of people. But it also stops the lifts from getting stale for the same reason. It also drives a further strength adaptation. The same thing's naturally going to apply when you go from 8 reps to 5 reps 4 weeks after that. So in short, this is how it works, and I'm explaining it mechanistically for those that want to learn, but it's really super simple to follow because it all lays it out for you and how to do it. You're just adding reps, adding rep quality, then adding a little bit of weight within that parameter, and then after 4 weeks you change rep ranges altogether. But this is how it breaks down. You start off lighter, you end heavier. It's real simple. You start off lighter, you spend some time mastering that relative intensity. After 4 weeks, boom, you move up in weight, you repeat the same thing. What you'll notice is that on the weeks of 8s and 12s, it's gonna build your capacity to do work, your work capacity in gigabrain terms. And the 5s will feel more like strength work, but it'll still grow you as well. If you got this far, let me know what your favorite fusion is, Vegito or Gogeta. Give some insight in terms of rerunning the program. Most people, after running through the program once, or maybe about 3/4 of the way through, They're going to want to sub in some different exercises without totally changing the program. You can definitely do that on Golden Warrior without totally destroying your progress. It's actually built in and baked into the program. Here's the thing, fellas, the way that the intensity is set up with the lifts that have that 12-8-5 progression, you can pretty much just keep those in no matter what, because the way they're set up stops them from getting stale. But in terms of every other exercise, you're in luck. Just change them every 8 to 12 weeks. That's when most people are going to observe, provided that they're eating enough, they're sleeping enough, their stress level's low, and they're overall recovering from their training and doing well. That's when they'll just need to switch exercises to begin with. But for people that like higher exercise selection, you can also make progress just fine by switching out about every 5 to 6 weeks. But I wouldn't go any lower than that. You do need time to develop skill in these movements and to milk them out, especially if they're one that you haven't done before, because you have something called neural adaptation. And that's just a giga brain way of saying, look, if you ain't never did something before at the gym, you're going to get better at it exponentially quicker at the beginning than you will if you had done that for a long time. Deloads. Keen eye might notice the program does not have deloads. Like I mentioned at the beginning, it's not because it doesn't have deloads. You absolutely have your deload protocols. I always say that they should come as needed. So if you've been putting in a lot of good work on the program, you eat enough to support your training, you're hydrated, you're motivated, you're doing your outside of the gym stuff, like making sure you get your activity level in, you're eating good quality foods, and overall you're on your shit, and you're just like, man, I just need a little break. You can go from 5 days to 4 or 3 days, or you can keep your schedule as is and just go easy on a couple of those days. That's enough for most people to dissipate a lot of fatigue in their training. And then of course, if you do have like your vacation or your birthdays or anything like that, you can just train once or twice a week or just take the whole week off. I don't advise that, so if you can do something, something's better than nothing. If you find yourself in that situation where you just need to not be at the gym for almost a week or up to a week, push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, and body weight squats. You could do that 10-15 minutes before bed. That will leave you in a lot better of a position to be able to go back into the program and not have lost any muscle or strength. You'd be very surprised. I advise that most people drink coconut water or anything that has a large amount of potassium in it. Most people are deficient in potassium. You can get the no salt that is just pure potassium. You can get that on Amazon or wherever online. I recommend that most people supplement with magnesium and that you have at least a couple servings of some kind of milk, whether that's whole milk, almond milk, anything with calcium in it. Those are going to get you all of the electrolytes that most people are deficient in. Now, especially if you're in the West, you're definitely getting enough sodium, but you want to time it. You're going to get sodium with most of your meals, but I feel like you should have a good amount of sodium before the gym and a good amount after the gym to replenish the sweat that you've lost. The salt's just timed around workouts to promote performance, get you good pumps, which isn't necessarily important for performance, but better blood flow does facilitate better joint health. And if you have any issues with just achy elbows on extensions or achy knees, having some sodium in your diet timed around your training can help a lot with that. Last thing I'm gonna leave you with is just some logbooking keys. By logbooking, I mean like you're literally just taking note of the reps and sets and how you feel during the workout. You wanna take track of your energy levels, like on a scale of 1 to 5. Am I super tired, like I can't do anything for the rest of the day? Or 1 is like I'm refreshed and I'm ready to attack the rest of my day. Just modulate your energy levels. If your energy level is too low, you might want to look at like, am I following the program as it's intended? And if I am I fueling my training and refueling after I go to the gym appropriately? And constantly be referencing that FAQ in your coaching notes. If you think you know, it's literally there for you to read, bro. It took all the time in the world to write it. It's there for you to use it. Please use it. One last thing, a little maturity tidbit when it comes to your training. When it comes to beating the books, you have your log books, you can beat the books. That means that you're beating what you did last time. Sometimes your big win of the day isn't going to be adding a rep or adding some weight. If you can make the weight feel better, where it maybe felt like shit on your joints, or make it effective in terms of hypertrophy or strength adaptation, where it was sloppy, that is just as important and just as substantive as if you added weight or if you added reps, because when you perform something better, you're building a more strong and sturdy base. The reps build the base wider. When you do the reps more effectively, you're making the base stronger. Does that make sense? And then when you add weight, you're obviously adding to the base that you're building. So all of those things are equally important. And that big one of the day can be making that base that's made out of freaking termite wood and turning it into the freaking iron. You know what I'm saying? That's the best piece of advice I could give you, I think. Fellas, that's all she wrote. Golden Warrior is in the description right now. Click that Boostcamp link and get 2 weeks free. You can check out the program, see if you like it. If you have any questions, let me know. Have a good one.